This is my 1986 Suzuki Samurai buggy on 46s. It is so close to being done and it's just living in my barn. But this week, I want to change that. We are going to hit some of the nastiest rock gardens in the Pacific Northwest. But first, we're going to convert some weird air cylinders into lockers, and we're going to try out an innovative new transfer case brand and see if it's going to fix some of the shifting woes that I've had in the Samurai before.
It's hotter than the blacktop in July, sweating like a sinner in a church, and I just wanna get out with my crew tonight.
If you watched the last episode we did on Girth Brooks, then you saw where we were flex testing some of the projects that I have around here. And you might have noticed that the lockers are not working in the Samurai. That's because I used these electric solenoids that worked great in the shop at actuating these Unimog lockers, but they didn't work practical in the real world. It was very easy for them to kick out because the solenoids just simply were not strong enough. So after testing and making sure that the locker mechanism still works in these Unimog axles, I'm able to start playing around with the idea of going to air. This is a shutdown solenoid for 12 valve Cummins, or maybe 24, I don't remember, but it's a shutdown solenoid for a 5.9 Cummins. It works, it really does. So you give it full power, it pulls back, and it pulls the lever arm for the locker and these Unimogs. By the way, this is not like something that normal people do, it's just an idea I came up with when I was trying to think of like the simplest way to make these lockers work. So anyway, it pulls it back into the lock position, and then whenever you turn them off, boom. So you give it full power, it pulls it back, but the solenoid will get really hot at full power, so I have a momentary switch. And after you select the momentary switch and you pull off, it gives partial power to the other wire. So the partial power is what actually holds it in place, but it's way less power for holding. So what would happen is I'd be wheeling along and then the locker would kick out because it just wasn't enough holding power for this application. It's made to shut down an engine, not to keep lockers on a Unimog. So now we're gonna go with this. And this is a very simple air cylinder. It should be plenty strong for what we need to do. I guess I don't need that. So my plan is we're gonna set this up to where whenever I hit the locker switch, it'll pull back. This is just gonna get vented into a catch can. And then whenever I let off, I'm gonna have to do some sort of return spring or something to get it to push back the other way. Right after I shot this, Nick had a good idea of basically just plugging off or using a Schrader valve on the back side of that air cylinder to let the air pressure basically be like a natural return spring. And I think this is a great idea. It would be super clean. I am skeptical of how that would work long term, but I want to try it for sure because it's just so much easier than having to add a return spring to this. We could always add one later, but for now, we're basically just going to plug off the back and then just have an air inlet / outlet out of the other side.
Right at home, the louder the better, 'cause with us anything goes. Life at the party, we're the feature of the show. You already know. We're gonna paint the night red. Moving harder till we're dead. We're down to turn up. We're out to get down. Saying, hey, y'all, howdy. Let's get rowdy tonight.
We built the Samurai around the Volkswagen TDI engine, a Jeep NV3550 transmission, and a Midnight Metalworks Dana 300 transfer case. Well, the NV3550 transmission was not working correctly, and so I got a couple of rebuilt units. I say a couple because we got a rebuilt unit. It was still shooting out of second gear. We got another rebuilt unit, and it was shooting out of second and reverse. So I got a rebuilt AX15 and installed that in here. It is way, way, way better. We did a short throw shifter. It feels phenomenal to row through the gears in this thing, and it holds in all the gears and all that. But now the cover, that it just doesn't fit this AX15. It's just slightly different dimensions. So I'm gonna do a little bit of reshaping, a little bit of smoothing things over in order to make it to where I can fit a doghouse back on here. And then we'll take it on a trip. We'll make sure that everything fits without like any vibration, like nowhere of the transmission is gonna be hitting the doghouse. And then I'm gonna roll on bedliner it so it matches the rest of the floor.
Stud back here.
Wow, that's pretty light, huh?
It's not too bad. Way lighter than the 205.
Yeah. This is Tyler from Total Metal Innovations, and he has been making transfer cases for the last year and a half. They're pretty new on the scene, and once I started to look at the product that they make, I see a lot of value in what they've been doing, and the in-house design that they've come up with is something that I'm a huge fan of, and I'll show you why. So with this transfer case, this is the rock box for Midnight Metalworks. Midnight Metalworks is no longer a company that's in business, and when they sent this out to me, they didn't send a shift housing to keep it in gear. And I noticed that right away, but I was like, they must have some sort of accommodations inside to keep it from falling out of gear. Not the case. As soon as we started wheeling it, non-stop falling out of gear. I've done with a few other small problems that I can deal with, but this one's a big one. So I reached out in a previous video and asked, like, can somebody build me a shift housing for this? I had multiple people think that they could help, but nothing ever came through. And this is like impossible to do hard wheeling with. It is very, very difficult to hold things in place while you're trying to go up nasty obstacles. Tyler has engineered a way to do exactly what I thought they did with the Midnight Metalworks case. This has integrated detent balls and springs, so there's no shift housing, and he made it to where you can shift from the backside of the case, which is going to make it way easier for the Suzuki Samurai for us to set it up to shift exactly how I need it. I had this case spec'd out with 4-to-1 gears, which is like what you get in a standard Rubicon. And this is a twin stick design, which means that you can do front digs. And to be crystal clear, this can be shifted from the front or the back. It's just cool that he has that option, because for us, having it being rear shifted makes it way easier to route cables and is going to make it so much easier for me to put the shifters where I want to instead of where I have to. These cases can be made driver side drop or passenger side drop, and you can do that at home. You can like change the orientation if you change the axle setup that you have. And Tyler designed these cases to be fully serviceable without specialty parts, which means that all the bearings, the seals, even the fluid, it's all just found over the counter. There's nothing special that you have to get from Tyler once you buy the case. Just got back from JB Fab, and we have what I think is going to be the perfect setup to do like cable shifting on the transfer case. Meanwhile, while I've been driving all over the country, it feels like, Nick has been getting actual work done. And he's got this Amazon compressor torn apart. We're gonna do some drilling and tapping, because I can't do a build without modifying absolutely everything, even the compressor. And tomorrow, if we get everything done tonight that we want to, we should have a shifting transfer case, and we should be able to start testing our lockers. The second that we hit the trails to test out the Samurai, I had front drive shaft problems, because apparently we should have greased it after the last time I drove it on salty roads this winter, because the front drive shaft was seized because of all the road salt getting in there. Lesson learned. But after a few hours of work, we did get it to free up and get moving again, and then it was time to finally test everything. This trail is called Austin's Rock by the locals, but I think officially it's called Memorial Rock, and this is no joke. This is the real deal. These are big boulders. This is going up, and it's tough to not ride the struggle bus on this one, but it's perfect conditions out here. Rocks are warm, it's not wet. It's a beautiful day to come out and put your stuff to the test. After a week of working hard on my Samurai, we're gonna see if some of these new mods that I've installed are gonna make this get to the next level. Including us, our group has 3 vehicles. We've got my Samurai and then 2 fully built rear steer buggies, and actual buggies, not like my Samurai, which is a full bodied buggy, but a tube chassis where you put the grill of whatever you want the vehicle to look like in the front. And today the goal is to just keep up with these very well built and tested trucks.
I tried to do it with no rear steer. Damn it.
I'll try to. filming for us, buddy?
Nate will not be defeated.
I'm not off the trail yet. My friend Chris, she just got a buggy with rear steer. The goal today for me is to keep up with the rear steer buggies, but this is her first trip out in it. Oh, diff. Oh, come on.
Rear steer driver. Call it right there. Keep right there.
Driver.
Yeah, crab walk it.
There you go. More.
Well,
More.
go driver.
I'd do the same.
You have to put your tire on that rock, right?
Yes, exactly. If you crab walk it, you'll go right up. God, that's so sick. Oh, I'm so jealous. There you go, go passenger. Gonna load up that tire right there.
Back it up again.
Like 2 feet. Stop. Hard passenger. Hard. Now that we completed this first obstacle, I thank the dudes that helped me put this drive shaft back together and get it moving, and then we used Onyx Off-Road to search around and decide our next move. And because Sasquatch Bluff was right around the corner, we decided to hit that next. In a full-bodied wheeler, I would say that Sasquatch is roughly a 7 of 10. I mean, it depends on your build, and it depends on which line you take, of course, but in a buggy, this is honestly like a 5. So we decided to all hit it at the same time just because we thought it would be fun to shoot that way, and it would be interesting to watch all the rigs side by side going up this hill stuffed with boulders. The next obstacle is no joke, and that is Twin Rocks. And this one is rated a 9 of 10 on Onyx, which I would say is accurate for the left side, but the right side is absolutely a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Getting into the action right away, I guess. Twin Rocks, hill climb. So apparently this side is the rear steer side. I did do it last year, but it took a lot. And it was not pretty. But this is the real deal. This is probably one of the harder spots in Washington for sure. There's some stuff at Reeder that definitely rivals this, but this is absolutely 10 out of 10 trail. Sean's buggy is a really nice combination of parts and pieces. Obviously, because of its form factor, it's super light, but he's also got a 5.7 liter LS1 and some 42-inch BFG red labels, which I think are just an absolute phenomenal tire. So between that and the rear steer, this is a super capable buggy, and it's got lots of hours on it, and he's very familiar with how to use this thing. Clearly, this obstacle is made by man, it's not made by nature, and the people who put this together knew exactly what they're doing. And I would say that this not only is a 10 out of 10, this is probably, I mean, this is at least the top 10 hardest obstacles in the Pacific Northwest, maybe even top 5. And I've been rock crawling and wheeling all over the Pacific Northwest for over 20 years, and I am telling you, this doesn't look that nasty until you walk it and you see a vehicle on it, and then you realize, like, oh, somebody was really smart in the way they put this together, and they knew they knew where to put these rocks in order to find the weakness in your truck. So I'm not saying that full-bodied wheelers, just like, you know, a Jeep Wrangler on tons and 40s couldn't do this without rear steer, but I am saying that you are going to be pushing your truck super hard, and even then, you will very likely be pulling cable. I'd say even for most buggies, this is going to be a challenging one. And lucky for us, we're not on tons and 40s. We're on Portals and 43s, and I still have to drive the crap out of my full-bodied Samurai in order to get up these rocks. In every video where I go off-road, I have lots of comments of people asking me if I ever even air down and stuff like that. It's very difficult to tell tire pressure just by watching a video. But I can tell you that here in a few minutes, you're going to see that what I'm telling you is true. I run in this vehicle with these tires, I rock crawl with 3 PSI. And the reason that I rock crawl with 3 PSI is because these are big, thick tires. It's a very large volume of air in these 43s, and my Samurai is super light, so you don't see a lot of sidewall bulge unless it's under load. And you're going to see what I'm talking about here in a minute.
You're hung up on that rock back there on the metal part. There you go.
That was, that's a toughie. But now that I have a transfer case that actually stays in gear with this Total Metal Innovations case, I'm not fighting that constantly. And now that we did these air cylinders for the lockers, I'm not fighting that constantly, because last year it was just nonstop falling out of gear. It was nonstop falling out of locked. But because everything held, I was able to just focus on driving instead of on holding the rig together. A little dusty. Oh, I'm shaking. What a unit. That was so much fun. We still need to flex this thing out, so I need to get it home in order to do that. Now that we have working lockers, I think we're gonna get a lot better score. But before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to my friend Chris. Her and her husband Kevin invited me out a few times to go out. We played in the snow. We've had a lot of fun together, and these are my new buggy friends. So you are going to be seeing Chris and Sean a lot more on the channel this summer as I go out and I try to massage out the finer details of this Samurai, because I've been invited to go on this epic trip on behalf of Power Stop Brake with Ian Johnson's new show. So we're going to be doing this like 5-day long adventure ride for Build for Off-Road for his TV show. And we're going to be doing tons and tons of buggy stuff. So like think Ultimate Adventure style, but without all the camping and stuff. He just wants to do all the hardcore rocks. So I want to make sure that I don't make myself look silly. And so for that reason, we're going to be hanging out with Chris and Kevin a lot this year and getting the Samurai ready for the next step, which is TV, I guess. That is how it started its life, is on Ian Johnson's show, Extreme 4x4 back in the day. And now it's going to come full circle, and I'll get to take my iteration of his Samurai and put it back on his new show. This case is exactly what this Samurai needed. And now we have working air lockers. Very, very cool. And now we're gonna get to test it for real and see how we score on this RTI ramp that we built a week or two ago. All right. Am I close to the top? Is it stable enough for me to get to the top? Well, what's that? Yeah, I'm gonna have to hit it at an angle. Redo. I hope it's stable enough for us to do this test. We're gonna find out. Am I in the same position? Well, the rear's on the ramp. I'm not at the top though, huh? I need rear steer, or I need a more stable ramp. Well, I guess we can add it up and see what we score. That's all we're gonna get out of this today until we build a more stable ramp. We're gonna add something to this to keep it from sliding around the gravel so much, or I don't know. I mean, I could park the tractor tire right here or something. I don't know. And as you can see, we still have more up travel right here. There's quite a bit of shock left. And Nick and I have been talking about these soft rubber bump stops. I love how smooth they are, but they definitely, with something so light, they seem to limit the amount of up travel we can get out of them. So we're going to be removing all of those and just going to hard stops, because this is not a fast vehicle anyway. This is something that creeps and crawls nice and slow. We are so close to the top of that ramp, and I'm pretty sure with some bump stop modifications and making it to where the ramp doesn't move everywhere, we're gonna be able to get all the way up to the top. I mean, look at that thing. This Samurai is nuts. We were at a 1370 before.
1370.
And we are at
1489.
a 1489. So that is an improvement, but what do we get if we go to the top of the ramp?
1685, I think.
1685. That is what we're going for. Obviously, this is like, it's not necessary. It flexes enough. But when you're trying to maximize a truck, like we are, you want to get as much flex as possible. So now, the next round of mods will include bump stop modification and some massaging that way, and then we'll take it out again and have more fun. If you know somebody in the Pacific Northwest that does TDI tuning, please get a hold of me or put me in touch with them or something. I don't want to have to relearn the Ross Tech software that I knew how to use like 6 years ago. I'd rather just take it to somebody and have them tune it. I want to make this thing burn cleaner, and that's one of the last few things we need to do to button this up, and then it's just use the crap out of it this summer. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.